Hi, I'm Sean.
I'm Rhonda.
Level of communication we want to look at is feelings.
You don't want to respond negatively, dismiss, or disapprove. This is how your spouse feels, and it's an honor that your spouse would reveal that. And this is the more vulnerable side of ourselves. If we share, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, well, that's a secondary emotion. It's covering up what we really feel. Our vulnerable feelings might be a little bit more like, I feel rejected because when you interrupted, you didn't come back. I feel invisible. You didn't ask what was it you were saying, or when I shared, you didn't seem curious to know more, and there was more. Now, our spouse doesn't automatically know that. We can
Yeah.
tell them, but we definitely want to come across as curious. On our feelings, I think this is where our opinions too, but especially our feelings, where we can betray trust, and it can feel like a person is or is not there for us.
When your spouse shares a feeling that you don't really feel comfortable with, or maybe you don't like it that they feel that way, you don't want your goal to be, how can I change your feelings? You want to be able to just take their feelings at face value and look at them and share in that moment with them. Wow, you felt that way? What more can you tell me about that?
Because when we share our feelings, I'm letting you in. If I share my feelings, I feel unseen and invisible when that happens. I'm revealing to you me. This is how my brain works. And our amygdala, when we're children, our past relationships and all these things, these things happen and moments are defined, and those things get filed away in the brain as truth. They may not be truth. It may not be that you actually, nobody's interested in you, nobody cares, this means disrespect. It may not be that way at all. But the amygdala is defining the moment based on those things, and it hijacks the brain, and so it doesn't ask us, "Hey, do you want to be overwhelmed right now with feelings of insecurity?" No, I don't. But in nanoseconds, it just all this flood of negativity can come in, right? And so when our spouse shares the feelings, what the flood of negativity did when this trigger happened, they're letting us in to see this is the environment I'm sitting in at the moment. I don't want to sit here, but you can't necessarily just fix it and snap a finger and wave a magic wand and now that's gone.
You might need to ask your spouse if you don't know what to do with a difficult emotion or difficult feeling that they shared. You could just be open and say, I don't know what to say. How can I best support you in this moment?
This is where empathy kicks in, especially where we are listening to the words, but we're catching the emotion behind the words. And we're able to make a connection to the words and to the feeling behind the word. I'm really sorry that this moment caused this for you. What can I do? What do you need to hear from me right now? What I really need you to say, what I really need to hear, what I really would love for you to do. We're being vulnerable in those moments. And I would say, too, when we share these things, if we're more brief, we're more likely to be heard. Obviously, we want to gush a lot of times on our feelings. And I want you to know exactly what you did to me, and felt this way and that way, and that can feel blaming and accusing. We're kind of putting on the other person the responsibility for creating this feeling, when in fact what's actually happening is there was a trigger there, and that was on me. And this person stepped on a trigger, probably unawares, and I'm the one that's having these feelings about what my spouse just did. I need to take responsibility for my own emotions instead of blaming someone else for the way I feel.
We may want to reflect back to our spouse what they're sharing with us and kind of repeat back. So what you're saying is that you felt this way when such and such happened.
As we talk about the various levels, going deeper in communication, when we want to move from, say, facts to opinions, or opinions to feelings, before we can really go there, well, we may need to talk about, so what are the blockades for you and for me when it comes to talking about opinions, or if we're going deeper about feelings, what are the things you need to happen to be present or absent for that to go well? We can attempt it, but if it's not going well, it's better to pull back and talk about the how we talk about the deeper things rather than the what we were talking about.
One spouse may feel uncomfortable as they're hearing difficult feelings and may have a fix-it mentality. Typically, this is men that have a fix-it mentality and just want to make the problem go away. And the wife is not looking necessarily to make it go away, but looking for empathy to help understand what she's dealing with, and she may already know what will make it go away.
And so being able to talk about our feelings, I think that helps us to feel known. And in those moments, we may just need to vent. We just may need to get it out. I think a lot of times when we get it out and our spouse is a burden bearer and shares the burden and carries the burden with us, it's out. And we just need sometimes to be able to do that without someone fussing at us because you felt this way and maybe I can't even change what I'm dealing with, but I do need you to care, I do need you to feel, and we can get it out and be able to move on just simply by connecting, making a connecting statement with that. I think as we go deeper, we have to think about, we like to call it our marital table. And so if our table will only support a 50-pound weight, but we put a 1,000-pound feeling on it, and it crushes that table, it's not the spouse's fault. We just need to know where are we and what's the strength of our marital table and put appropriate weights on it until we build it up to be strong enough and capable to handle deeper and deeper conversations.
Some of us may not really be living in the realm of acknowledging feelings very much, may live more on the factual side of things.
True.
And so it can be a real stretch probably to try to grow in this area. So if you're the one who loves sharing feelings and your spouse is not really well versed in connecting with feelings, give them a lot of space and help them to learn and grow gradually in this area.
That's a good point. I think it's really important because whoever is more feeling oriented, the other person may be compartmentalizing, and if you're talking, they're in the words center. They're not in the feelings center also. But if we have a lot of processing going through our feelings and we can easily express them, we want to be careful that we're not monologuing, going on and on, being emotionally overwhelming to our spouse. So we have to have the words. We have to learn to say it briefly, maybe 1 to 3 sentences. We may want to go on, but should we? And then our spouse can help with that by, hey, would you give me the headline? Would you maybe boil that down to 1 to 3 sentences for me? Could you make it more brief so I can track with you? Because that's the goal. And we assume that because I could share that quantity of emotion with you, that you also can handle it. But if the other person isn't there emotionally to process that level or quantity of emotion, you don't want to drag them through the mud, emotionally speaking. You want to pace with whoever might be more challenged with this level of conversation we're talking about.